Kigezi High School was a great learning environment, and I benefited quite a lot from my being there as a student.
Thank God basically for Kigezi High School, the guidance and counseling that we used to have, the career choice, you know, like where during sports day we could have men, great men from the central government coming to encourage us to be great men and women of integrity. And that mindset, it encouraged us to work hard, and I think that is why many of us were so successful.
Currently, I'm a commissioner of Budget Policy and Evaluation Department, the Ministry of Finance. And I attribute all that to my background, Kigezi High School.
Kigezi High School is a school that teaches you the academic part, the social part, and also, in my view, the business part. Because we meet there students from across generations. But most importantly is that you meet people from different tribes and they teach you one thing or the other.
Some of the tenets I use, some of the things I picked at Kigezi High School have kept running me throughout my career and my life.
And many skills that I have been applying in life, but one of the fundamental ones which I cannot forget is the evening of 17 September 1987 when I recommitted my life to Jesus Christ. And since that time, I have worked as an evangelist to date, and it has made a difference in my life. I have been able to interface with very important dignitaries in the world. I have moved countries because of the salvation that I received when I was at Kigezi High School.
High school to me makes the best foundation of my education.
Kigezi High School brought us up, and we are proud of Kigezi High School, and really it is nice recording how we went through.
First of all, everything was new in Kabale. I'd never been to a cold environment all my life. It was only in Kabale at Kigezi High School that I put on my first warm sweater. I'd never put on a sweater the whole of my life. When I reached in Kabale, it was just shocking that it could be that cold, and I had to buy a sweater for the first time. It used to be very cold in the night when we used to go for plebs.
I'm glad that I joined Kigezi High School. We had wonderful teachers for the subjects that I was taking. They were extremely helpful, certainly knowledgeable on their subjects, and I think that accounted to a lot of the success that we were able to get.
Kigezi High School was given an opportunity to be a head girl. And then I actually realized I had loads of leadership potential in me that had not been exposed prior to Kigezi High School. So past Kigezi High School, leadership has just been a flow. It just continued. Although I find that my leadership would be more, apart from high school, is more into church. Yeah, but I am enjoying the fact that I discovered that while at Kigezi High School.
It was my first time to be in a mixed school. So that one caused the problem initially. You are not used to seeing girls all the time. And sometimes when you are lining up for food, and you are with them, you start looking down.
We actually enjoyed quite a bit of social life in terms of organizing parties, some of which almost brought problems for me.
Well, I used to enjoy debating. I was a very eloquent speaker, so we used to have debating competitions at inter-house level. And I think that was a bit of fun, and we made a lot of friends.
What I think I achieved the most is the ability to fight on, to persevere.
I became the chaplain to the Archbishop. This was 2006. And that's work I did for 7 years. And one of the tasks of a chaplain to the Archbishop is speech writing. And so I was using the knowledge and skills I acquired at O level in Kigezi High School to write speeches, to manage the Archbishop's diary, to make appointments for him.
But at Kigezi High School, immediately you enter J1, while you are still sleeping in the morning, and you wake up suddenly, you find there is nobody in the dormitory. Everybody is gone. Everybody is doing morning prep. In the evening, after dinner, you won't see anybody playing around. Everybody is in class doing prep.
I was teased like any other senior one student. The teasing wasn't that brutal. It was only mainly because they asked me to sing and they were asking me in Ruchiga. In Ruchiga, they're saying, Yeshongore, Yeshongore. I couldn't understand what it meant. I thought they were telling me something which was different. But eventually I started, my other Bafumbira students would tell me exactly what it meant. So I would sing to make them happy.
Kigezi High School had a huge impact on my life because years after I was to meet somebody I had seen, who is now my wife, in the names of Penina Choheirwe Ngategize. She was then a young girl when I was in HSC, and I just had seen her, not known her, but just seen her, and then later we met in America and got married.
Had freedom to, move out of the gate, either the dormitory gate or the school gate, and get back in, and no one seemed to be concerned. You just had to make sure that you're taking good care of yourself.
I also remember that we used to have dances, and those dances were exciting. Dances, for the first time you were dancing with girls on a regular basis, every weekend. But in other schools where we were, it was always a bull dance. So when you are used to a bull dance and you are coming now to see people mixing, it was very, very interesting.
There was competitive sports. Some sports you couldn't even get a chance. For example, tennis. By the time you got out of class, the guys who are very fast would have got the tennis rackets and you wouldn't have a chance to compete. The facilities were limited. So those who couldn't get tennis racket and other games which were highly competitive, you ended up playing football or doing athletics.
I was really active in sports, especially athletics. I used to do the distance, the runs, 100 meters, 200 meters, long jump, triple jump, discus, shot put. I was an all-rounder when it came to athletics.
Kigezi High School gave me an opportunity to grow my leadership skills, community leadership skills. So I was made a deputy head prefect, which had responsibility.
I remember going to Kigezi High School to see and receive the results myself. And as I arrived at the school, I found a notice on the notice board, wherein the headmaster of the school
had a bit of strain with the administration because, again, I was not used to the rules, and I violated quite a few of them, and actually got more or less expelled in a short while after joining, only to be reconsidered to stay.
The liberty to do some of the things that you would ordinarily not find in other places, especially at the fellowship. Our headmaster allowed us to worship the Lord freely, and we expressed ourselves very well. And even the moments when we went overboard and did things that we surely shouldn't have done, but still he was gracious to us and and allowed us to be ourselves.
Yeah, you know, some of our staff, non-academic staff, were really great people, especially those who were in the kitchen and prepared meals for us. These were our heroes. There was a man who used to bake bread. That time, we had a bakery, school bakery, and bread was being baked at the school, and we would get bread, you know, for our breakfast or evening. And this was great bread that would be baked by this man. And so, you know, the friendliness, the encouragement that one received all around from this staff, including guards, and some of the guards were indeed quite strict because, as you know, Kigezi High School has always been co-educational. And so they were the girls' side and the boys' side and the lovers' lane and and where you are found at a particular time could be a problem. You know, one has fond memories of all these situations.
I clearly remember that our food was not the best. We struggled with the posho. It was a number of times bitter, and I clearly remember a number of days when we would go back to the dormitories and make cold coffee, and then buy, if you had a few coins, you'd buy sweet potatoes from Remereza's place, from Tumu. And you would eat that. Then you keep some for supper, and then you take cold food.
Whenever there was a football match between Kigezi High School and the other schools around, it was a very momentous occasion, most especially if it was playing against Butobere. And so there was a lot of rivalry and competition.
We had two particular stations, I would call them, where people had earmarked for relationships. One was the street, the road from the dining hall to the girls' dormitories. It was called Lovers Street. Now, Lovers Street was renowned for couples after prep, when the boy would be giving the girl a push to go back to dorm, and then they would just end up lingering on the Lovers Street and doing whatever little nothings they were doing. Then
Kigezi High School has a legacy. When you look at the list of people who have been through, you want to make a mark in life and add your name there and say, I also was at Kigezi High School.
I encourage the current students to know that they have limited time at school. That's point number one. And to know that with God, all things are possible.
Our colleagues, the OBs, we should strengthen our association. That's the best way to support the renovations, also to support the management in discipline.
We must go back on the ground at Kigezi High School and mentor our young people.
High school always brings out outstanding, morally upright people. That is what we want to see. When you do something good, when you are excelling in many things, we say, no wonder this guy went through Kigezi High School.
Teachers are mentors, teachers are role models. I would tell the teachers, please, when you speak to these students, you are not only teaching them, you are their images, you are their mirrors. They look at you and they want to learn from you. They believe that you have what they seek. It's not only learning things like mathematics, it's also learning values. It's learning how to be a man, how to be a woman, of character, of value. Someone who, when you are in society, everyone looks at you and says, yes, there is a valuable person here. So when you teach, take it beyond the subject.
I'm praying that, God will bless our school. I'm praying that God will bring Kigezi High School back to its former glory.